Okay, you lovely people. Here we go again. This is another one of those book Nook type things, and this one is the Aden Pirate ship. Let's have a look at the box now. I've not been in this box yet, so we'll look at it together. And hopefully there's a bit of a dent there, so we don't want any damaged interior stuff, do we? No. So that's those two tabs. So, first off, got a bag with a dowel in it and some plastic parts. Nothing else in there. Oh, right. So, dear customer, due to logistics limitations, batteries and glue are not included. Okay, understandable, not a problem. So we've got some chains and a light by the look of it. Okay, electronics. Yeah, nice. So a sanding stick, some screws and some sticky pads. Look at that, lovely little screwdriver. Okay, so moving those to one side, you've got the boards. Oh, hang on. Some stickers, yeah. And instructions. All very nautical themed. Nice, looks good. And we've got all the boards in there. So, without further ado, let's just crack on with the build. Right, straight into it, no hanging about. So we've got these parts here, and in the instructions, get one of these, pop it in, and then the other one, pop it in, and then the third one. Guess what? Pop it in the hole. So that's those three. A little bit wonky, but that's what you get there. And then that fits into there. So if we place that way round, pop those into there that way round, we've got a better chance of getting them in without breaking them, because they are a little bit fragile. So yeah, that's first stage done, as it proceeds to drop it. Then we need this part here, these two parts, and that central part. All got to fit together, but it says you need to cut these at an angle, so they're sort of mitered. It's marking the wood. That stink. Is it worth just sanding these down, I think? So yeah, it's sort of beveled edge to it, and that's 120 grit. So we're going to need some glue here. To fit that onto there. We're going to have to paint it, I think. So we get that one glued in place. And then these two. Right, which glue? Let's try a bit of super glue. Have I got any left? Run out. Okay, no problem. Come on. Just press that fit in. We'll get this one put in. Probably have to paint that. Look at that, beautiful. Right, so we've got that stage, and then we've got these two parts here. And they're marked up. So I think that goes like that. And then the other side. Like that. So we'll get those glued in. That's where these blocks come into play. So 1, 2, 3 blocks. I've got a link in my description and you can get them from there. That's about the cheapest price you're going to get them on Amazon, if you still use Amazon. There literally is hardly anything touching there, but we'll crack on with some the other side. It's a bit better on this side. It says. Right, we'll be right back for the next stage. Okay, the next stage, we need to glue this part onto there. I've just done a quick test fit and I think this will hold together nicely. So we'll pop a little bit of glue on there. I don't think you could do this very easily with wood glue. Just won't set in it take too long to set. And I think having the metal blocks really helps as well. So we'll just let that cure for a second, and then we'll come in and we'll glue the sides. Actually, we can do that now. Now we've got it in position, we'll backfill it with glue. Adding a little bit of pressure to hold it in place while it sets. Like all of these builds, it's not a race to the finish. It's a case of just getting it right. Follow the instructions and just enjoy the journey. And then once completed, it will look just like that. Then we need we need to make some more of these guardrails. So similar process to the one that we've already done, but these are triple layered. So I'll make these, but I'll speed it up, otherwise it'll get boring for you. So yeah, that's those two done. So those get glued up like that, I believe, and we'll be on to the next stage. Okay, so those three are all glued together, and we just continue the process. And these are the rest of the parts just over here. So I'll just show you what I'm doing. It's just a little splodge of super glue. And you line it up. There's just a line that runs across there. That's that one. Then on to the next. And I'll speed this one up again. Otherwise it gets boring. Just need to make sure they're all in the order of what the instructions say. You shouldn't have a problem. I think if you use wood glue, you'd have a bit more movement with it, so you can adjust things, but if you can get it down to the right position the first time, you don't have to wait anything or any time, and then you can crack on with the next one. I think that one's a little bit out, saying that. Just on the edge, because these edges are almost all the same, whereas these are stepped. And this is the final piece on the top, and then we have to make the railings. And that's that stage completed, and that is, my friends, the front of a boat or a ship. So yeah, we'll crack on with the next stage, which is these little railings that pop into here. Okay, so these posts, fairly simple. You've got two components. You've got that little post part, and then these little pegs that go in the back, and they're like a T-shaped. They give you some spares just in case you break them. because they are a little bit fiddly and a bit delicate. Yeah. So yeah, they're really small. So yeah, we'll just get these done. Boom. we got there, we got there, we got there. And then you just put them in to the receptacles. Yeah, you don't need glue for this part, but you do want the brown part facing out to the front of the bow. So the way you manufacture these dictates that. And then once we've done that, we're going to add some chain. So yeah, the front of the boat will look just like that, and those will look like that from the rear. Very nice they are too. Okay, so the next bit is we've got this very fine chain, and we have to glue it onto these parts here. So I'll just get that done, and I'm going to use Mr. Super Glue. And these little tips are invaluable in this kind of precision gluing scenario. So we'll have to put the first bit on, and then we will wait until it cures, and then we can move on to the next bit. So after gluing the first one on, glue all the other ones on, add a little bit of droop onto the chain for each one, and then just let that cure, and then we'll snip that off at the end. Okay, so we've got these parts laid out for this next section. After we've finished the guardrail, the first thing we need to do is we need to glue this part on there. And then once all this is completed, this is the crow's nest. So once that's completed, so try and line up the wood panels as best we can, so they're flowing in the same direction. Then you get these, you've got that sort of curved part that faces outwards. So there's 4 of these, need to go in the holes. I have to say the parts are really nice and easy to get out of the sprues. They just pop out, you don't really have to sand any of them. You can if you wish, but I haven't. So that's that one. Then we need to get this central onto there. So again, get some glue onto that part there, and you might need to excuse my head. So just push that down for a second or two, and while that's working its way, we shall pop these two together like scissor sisters, just like that, and then that will just pop into that little hole. Pop some little bit of glue on this, and you want to make sure that it goes up to a point so it's thicker at the bottom, and that looks like that. Now the next stage says to pop this on, and these pegs go in on top. Now I don't want to do it that way just because I think it'd be harder, so we'll get these pegs popped in. It's probably easier to put them in this way first, and we'll add a little bit of glue to each one Just a little spot. Tend to hold my breath when I'm doing this kind of work. I don't know about anybody else. There we go. Oh, I've done that the wrong way round. It's a shame. So yeah, that looks like that. And then add a little bit of glue onto here. So yeah, once completed, will look like that. Now I'm going to add a little bit of brown stain to the top because I got it the wrong orientation, just to give it some extra texture. So it doesn't stick out so much. Let that dry. Beautiful, job done. On to the next. Okay, so we've got lots of wooden weapon racks, and they both assemble in exactly the same way. So get the first one banged out. So I think the easiest way, pop that in there like that. That's the first stage, nice and easy. So yeah, those two assemble like that. And then this top frame has to sit just in between those two bits like that. So we'll get that glued in. So yeah, shouldn't take that long, but once you've done that, it's in that position. Then you glue in these parts. So we'll get those glued in. Then the next item is this one. Okay. Then there's a shorter one of these two, which is the next one, like so. And then the last one sticks out a bit. And these are all got printed faces, so you've got to be aware of that. That'll do. So that will look like that. Looks nice. And then this part just gets glued on the front, but we'll let that cure first and we'll crack on with the next one. There we go, that's those two completed. On to the next stage. Boom. Okay, on to the next stage. So we're making an easel, signpost and a fish on a stand. Okay, onto the easel. So you just glue this part on and that holds the picture in place. And then once you've done that, you do the support bracket at the back. That's got a notch in it. And then it's just a case of getting the picture frame in. Then onto the signpost. These two parts just click into the square holes. Nice and easy. So that's the first one in. And you can hear them when they go into position. They make a sort of clicking noise. Then it's a case of just gluing these in the opposite direction. So that's the first one seated on. And then onto the second one. And that just pops in between those two. And the secret is not to fuss about these things, just get them put in and then leave them. And the third part is this swordfish that sits on a little stand. And again, that just clips into place. There's no need for glue on that. And that's the final result. Look at those beauties. 3 of them. And then the next stage, we're going to start building a box. Okay, now we get onto the box section. So we are building 7 different boxes. These ones we're building right now are the open top boxes. And you've just got to make sure the orientation of the slats on the ends all match up. And yeah, it's fairly easy to do, they just snap into place. And then once completed, there's those 3. Then we move on to the other boxes, which are square basically, and these will get finally wrapped, and there is 4 of these to build, and just follow the instructions, snap into place, nice and easy. So this is the first one, we're doing the wrap. And it does say to glue these, but I think the sticker should hold. So those 4 and the other 3. So that's 7 in total of the boxes we've built. Okay, so the next the next thing we're going to build is this cannon, which is a little bit tricky. So you've got the different sized wheels and the different spokes. So the small wheels go on first to the front. So this is just building the first one, and you've got to be careful that the spoke doesn't go all the way through onto the other side. There's me just adjusting it there. Then onto the bigger spoke, and then we start building the main cannon holder. Again, this is just 3 parts, and then they just snap in together like so. These wheels are then secured in underneath in the gaps, and I'd advise you to glue those in, as I'm doing so with the super glue right there. And that looks like that from underneath. Now this is a sticker, and it says to roll the sticker up. You can't do that very easily, so I just decided to leave it on its backing and just roll it around a tool that I had to give it the cylindrical shape, and you just glue in the 2 ends, and it should look something like that, and then that just sits into the cannon. So that's the easiest way to do it. Okay, moving on, we're on to the silver coin pile. So it's just 3 put next to each other, then you apply 2 on top, which is a little bit fiddlier. So yeah, I thought, nah, tweezers aren't wide enough, so I'll just use my fingers in the end. And then just place those on. Now I'm using super glue all the way through on this build so far, and it just speeds up the process. Otherwise you have to make components and then sit around, wait for them to dry before you commence on the next project. Okay, so this is the cat set of steps, and these just snap into place, and the wood is cut in a certain way that gives it some flexibility, so you can bend it round the corner and you snap it into the other position. There's 3 steps. The second step I did where it just broke on me, basically. The hinge, well, the flexible part of the wood broke, so I had to super glue that into position, but it's not a problem. And then you just stack these 3 together, glue them on top of each other, making sure that the left hand side is all uniform and straight. And then you just slot the cat in carefully. I just rock it backwards and forwards, and then it pops. Then you've got the cat stairs, nice and easy. So yeah, we're now moving on to the rack with all the items in, and it's easier to do them, put all the items into the shelves, and then you start building it up from the sides. Now, this is really a nice looking piece actually. So this is just the next shelf going in, and it's a case of pushing the one peg into that vertical slat, and then you've got the ones underneath. Then you get the end piece on, making sure it's the one with the correct amount of holes. Then on to the next piece. It's not that clear in the instructions, the orientation of these shelves, as in the cutouts, but you'll work it out. So yeah, just starting to add the books in there. There is a single bookend that you glue in a bit, but we'll do that later. And that's the next support going in. And you have to push these really tight, so otherwise it's all going to be slightly out of shape. And then the next component we're sticking in. I don't even know what that's supposed to be. Yeah, I got it in the wrong hole initially. There's a thinner piece that goes in next, which is this one. And that just get popped in the hole. So the next part is just adding the end piece before we add the top. And that again just snaps into place. Very nice too. Then it's a case of sticking the top on like that, and then just gluing this. Well, yeah, I glued the book in there, I didn't show you that. And now we're adding the little supports for the wine bottle, or the ship in the bottle, and the ship. And these are a little bit fiddly to get in, but not too bad. And again, just push fit. There you go, that just slots in there. It's difficult because this unit's got two little feet on it, or pegs at the bottom, so you don't want to damage those. And then it's just a case of fitting in those vases and the ship on the end. That ship I did straighten up. Then you just glue the front fascia on, which is very nice too, and that's so intricate, the cutouts on this thing. And yeah, so just to keep that glued, I'd put these 1, 2, 3 blocks on top. Boom. Okay, now onto the dartboard. This is really small and it's difficult to see it, but basically the darts just peg in to the holes. There's 3 of them. It's fairly easy to do, and there's the result. Now we're on to building the chest. This will get covered in a sticker. So again, just like all the boxes we've produced so far, it's just a case of snapping it in and making sure it's the right orientation. So just in that bottom left corner there's a hole in the top of the box. That corresponds to the sticker on top, and I just had to glue some of the edges on this just to keep it into position. Then you just pop that hole with tweezers, scissors, whatever you got at hand, and that's what that case looks like. Now we're just building 3 books, and that's just 3 stickers that just fits around the outside, very similar to the Beyond Library Books building session that I did. These 3 get stacked with the end pieces sticking out, And again, just using a spot of super glue in between. Really need to cut the end off that super glue. Starting to build up. There you go, that's those three. Then we build the book. Again, this is a sticker, and I prefer just to cut it out, still stuck to the backing, and then fold it up in concertina style. Not as easy as it should be, but yeah, easier than trying to work with a sticker. And yeah, I try to mark out the places where the folds were, or score the fold lines. And then once you've got that stage done, it should look something along like that. I had to glue that so it held its position, and then that just sits on top of the books that we've already pre-made, and fan it out as well. That looks like that. That then you glue this, well, this pops into the hole that we've made, and you glue that stack of books at the back at an angle. And now we work on a frame, and it's just putting another frame on top of a frame. So that's fairly easy. Again, using super glue, but you've just got to be so precise as to the placement. You've got no movement. Once it's on, it's on. Now we're working on the fireplace, and there's lines around the bottom piece of wood, so you can line up the top, and it just gets put in there like that. Then we add this little crescent part that just gets glued on. There's a printed piece already underneath, exactly the same. Then we build it up like a bookcase or a box, adding the sides in. Nice and easy. And again, it's not that clear as to the orientation of the top shelf that goes above this, but I'm sure you'll be able to work that one out. Even if you don't get it right first time, you can pull that bit apart and retry it. And that looks just like that. Very nice too. Right, close up. Now we're adding some parts. So this is like an ink well and a feather pen. And that just pops into that hole. And that's a light, like a gas light. Well, no, an egg timer, is it? Oh, yes, an egg timer. Then we add the book. This gets glued in, as well as that telescope, and there's a hook, pirate's hook, that gets glued in. And then the last one, the last piece of the puzzle, I don't even know what that is, but that just fits in the slot. And there you go. On to the next section, again building up another box. And then once completed, should look just like that. Quite a nice looking box. Then the gramophone just gets on top. Just be careful when you slot that into place. I use tweezers. Oh no, a pressing tool, sorry, not tweezers. Just to get that in place so it doesn't snap. As you can see, it's very thin, the bit there. Now onto this table. Again, the instructions aren't that clear as to which orientation of the leg, so which is the top and which is the bottom. And I did make a mistake on this, but I'm not bothered really, because it will get sorted when we put it into the main part. It's only when you pop these ends in you realise, oh, there's not enough room and it's distorting the legs. But I did try to take one out to fix my problem, but it just snapped, so I left them in as is. As you can see, it's a little bit wonky. Now on to the map. That's just a sticker. Again, that needed gluing down at the front. And this goes in at a nice angle. Look at that. It's quite delicate, this table, so you can see that I'm treating it with the utmost respect. Then we plug this part in. Don't even know what that is. It's like a teapot or something. Then the gramophone. This should come in a little bit more towards the centre. Did make a mistake. Then these two round things. The magnifying glass. And it's like a hammer type thing. Just all gets glued into place, and look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Pleased with that. Then on to the chair. Very nice. Ornate chair, look at that. 3 parts. Quite easy to do. Just the pegs line up with the main seat. And again, this is just press fit together. That looks like that when finished. Now onto the beast head. These are just stuck down. Made a slight mistake with that. They're not quite straight together. But then you glue on the horns. Again, a little bit fiddly, but the super glue really helps. And that's what that looks like when finished. We're flying through this. Now to the steering rudder. And this is just another piece glued on top to give it a more of a 3-dimensional look. And that looks like that when finished. Beautiful. And this is all the parts we've built so far. So we've got the bow, we've got the crow's nest, the armories, 2 of those, the picture frame, the signpost, the swordfish. I think it's a swordfish. Then we've got the 7 boxes, the cannon, the coin pile, the cat, stairs, the cabinet of curiosities, the book stack on the case. Then we've got that map frame. Then we've got the fireplace. Very nice. Dartboard, the table, and the chair. Beast head, and then the steering wheel. So that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed that one. Don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.